racing fans, and welcome back to Race in Review. We got a new schedule, we got a new season, and what hasn't changed are my dear friends that co-host this show. My name is John, and I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself. He's not wearing red today, so let's see what's up with that. It's none other than the man with the best hair in the business. It's James. Welcome back, James.
Long time no see. How's it going?
It has been far too long, but we'll start reintroducing ourselves soon enough.
Yeah.
Not wearing orange currently. He's wearing the blue from Red Bull for some reason, but I think he's got some orange hidden underneath this jersey of his. It's Mr. Blue himself. It's Graham. Welcome back, Graham.
Thanks for having me back. I've got the orange underneath and the hat is orange. It's just backwards, so I'm ripping McLaren. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I'm suppose you're getting that McLaren Legos soon as well.
Yeah, probably.
I've seen him buy more Lego in the last 2 months from McLaren James than my kids have.
Yeah, my fireplace is now full of, if it's not Lego, it's RC cars, all McLaren based. So,
no, we're not biased at all. We're not biased at all.
not at all.
Hey guys, it's good to be back, and for everyone that joins us on this first episode in the new season, we are Racing Review. We talk Formula One and everything, well, sort of with sim racing and everything that comes in between there. But this year we're doing it a little bit different. Last year we were producing a show after every single Grand Prix, but the good news is, at least for us, we are going to be back every single week. That means every Tuesday. We are working on the time, but I'm suspecting it we are at 8 a.m. UK time. We'll put out a new show. So this is episode 1, new season. And what a season this already is. Let me start by asking you guys, and let's start with James. Are you looking forward to this new season? Because this is brand spanking new. Everything is. I'm lost myself.
I can't remember if I've mentioned it on the podcast previously, but I've been looking forward to this season for about 2 years now, to be honest. The ground effect rules and regulations, really, they failed pretty spectacularly from probably season 2. The idea of the cars being able to follow each other more closely and not taking into account the porpoising, all the rest of it. Like, we got some very good racing last season and the season before, don't get me wrong, but the formula as a whole didn't end up quite working, I don't think, as planned and as expected. So these regulations I've been very much looking forward to. It's a little bit more back to how things were before the ground effect, but then there is a crap ton of new stuff as well, which I think Graham's going to take us through a little bit later on.
Definitely. Graham, looking forward to the new season or mwah?
Yeah, I know. It's a new season, so it's always exciting. The no part is McLaren finally got their act together the last 2 years, and obviously we're going to new regulations, so it's whether or not that's going to carry over for being obviously a biased fan point of view. But it's something new. We don't know exactly how it's going to work. There's a lot of talk of drivers not liking it. A lot of drivers do like it, and some of them strategically playing games with what they're saying. So it's just good to have the racing back, though. It's been a long winter period without it.
It hasn't actually been that long, but it does feel long, yeah.
It does feel long, yeah.
I agree. Let's start with those rules first, though, because so many things changed before. I'm not even going to state my opinion because it will take up the rest of the podcast so far. It's that controversial, probably. So let's just start with what is changing or what has changed, Graham, in the new season. What can we expect from the coming Australian Grand Prix?
We can expect an awful lot. So first of all, they've decided to make the cars smaller, lighter, and in theory should be more nimble, better to drive, and facilitate improved racing. So the wheelbase of the cars are being reduced by 20 centimetres down to 340 centimetres. And the width is going to be decreased by 10 centimetres to 190 centimetres. And the overall weight of the car is going to be reduced by 30 kilograms. From there, we're getting new hybrid engines. So we are now getting a 1.6 litre V6 turbocharged ICE engine that will now be powered by full sustainable fuel, which will also come with an electric powered engine, which is now the MGU-K rather than the MGU-H of the previous iteration. So these new electric units will produce about 300% more electricity power. So as I said, the MGU-Ks have been removed, so they would harness energy from the throttle to re-employ it. So this year they're now having to use more turbo power, which could be an issue with turbo lag. A few teams have complained about it, which has seen the FIA, they're going to introduce and trial a new safety feature. So there's going to be a blue light for 5 seconds prior to the normal countdown to help the cars rev up the turbos to get the spools going.
Just stop there. Like, I think these are already 3 big points to discuss. James, cars being smaller and lighter. Good thing, bad thing?
Great thing. Yeah, great for me as far as I'm concerned. Watching some of the testing, the cars look a bit more lively. They look a bit easier for the drivers to save. Whether that's to do with weight distribution as well, I don't know. Obviously, they've got a much bigger battery now. But then the cars are slightly lighter and they are slightly smaller. So how that distribution works, I'm not entirely sure. Every team will have their own kind of ideas around that as well, or not necessarily ideas, but their own way of implementing. But yeah, the cars look great. They look smaller than you would think based on the measurement changes, because the measurement changes aren't really that big, are they? It's like, what was it, like 20 centimetres here, 100 centimetres there, or 10 centimetres there, sorry. So it's not a massive amount, but then when you combine that with the smaller tyres that we're getting this year, the front wing element looking considerably smaller, even though the full width probably goes as wide as the front of the car, the actual elements and the barge bows or what the side bits on the wings are kind of more inwards on the car, aren't they? So the proportions, they remind me of, say, like 2008, 2009, that sort of time before we moved into the hybrid era. Obviously, there's not all the crazy aero all over the cars like we had back then.
Well, they also have like shiny paint on them this year. And that does make the cars look more.
It does. I'm assuming. Maybe Graham can fill us in on this because I don't know for certain, but I'm assuming that there is a minimum weight that's at a point where we're allowing, or we're not weight saving to the point where we're not lacquering the cars anymore. No, because that was part of the reason last year, wasn't it? They stopped applying paint.
Graham, there's now a new rule which says you have to have X amount of paint on your car, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe so. The obviously the last year and the last couple of years it's been exposed carbon and black to jut around the weight saving. So they've pretty much said that there's an allocation now this year where X amount of the weight has to be attributed to obviously painting the car to make it better identifiable and more of a brand friendly and obviously as a fan friendly spectacle. So I can't remember exactly how much it is, but it is allocated that there's paint now.
Oh, we got a new Red Bull livery. So that's already highlight of the season, that part. The second point Graham just mentioned was the battery. More battery power straight on. Graham, let's start with you. Have you noticed that during practice sessions so far, during the
I'm going to say no, actually. I've been watching a lot of the Bahrain testing, a lot of the Barcelona testing, and noticed an awful lot of hitting the straights, and you're expecting them to get in that fifth and final gear, and they just don't have that rev power. They don't have any energy, and a few of them were saying that they had to save the battery for the corners or for maybe another straight or something else. So early days, it's not showing the greatest display of power, but hopefully as maybe when we go to Australia, they've finalised and tinkered and got that down to a T, or maybe if it's maybe later on in the season. But so far, I don't think the cars have showed as much power as previous years. But again, hopefully that's resolved going into Australia.
What I noticed, James, is that the cars seem to be way faster from launch. So whenever they come out the corner, because of the battery, if they use it, it's extremely fast. Like you go 20, 30 kph faster than you did previous years. The only issue is they ran out of battery. So they go as fast as turn 5 to, what were the tests in Bahrain? In Bahrain, they were, when they go into turn 5, it was as slower than a Formula 2 car because they ran out of battery by then. So the idea of, if you see them launch away from certain corners, it's like, that is rocket fast. But it only lasts a couple of seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're all familiar with battery-powered cars now, and the amount of torque, and it's just instant from a battery. So that's, that's what's being delivered off the start off the start line, out of corners. It's that immediate punch of acceleration, to the point where I think it was the first week of Bahrain testing. I can't remember which day it was. And I think it was Colapinto. He almost binned it into the wall, just trying to light up the back wheels for just for some temperature when they were doing a test start procedure at the end of the day's running. Purely because the back tires just absolutely lit up. A bit like Hadjar, I suppose, at Australia.
I thought you said a bit like I do with my car.
Well, that as well, yeah. I mean, we've all seen it. So it was, they have a lot of power. And I think it was Ant Davidson on the commentary during testing said that the battery power alone is about as powerful as a Ferrari F40. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, the cars are fast, they have a lot of power, but batteries only have so much power, and they are finding themselves running out of steam, even with like the reduced aero that we've got this year and reduced drag. So
it looks absolutely silly, though. If you look at Monza, are we going to get any? Like, we'll talk about that in a moment. But it looked that they can't overtake on straights because. Well,
they can.
There's just no power left.
Yeah, but they've got manual control over that now, haven't they? So there's no DRS, and instead they've got overtake, or like an overtake button, but at the same time it can be used for defending as well. So there's going to be a bit more cat and mouse, I feel. And I think we're going to see overtakes in places that we wouldn't traditionally see overtakes. So if you think about Bahrain, you've got turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. So heading up to turn 4, going up that hill, it is an overtaking spot. But I think it's going to be an even more prominent overtaking spot this year. Similarly down to that, I can't remember what turn number it is, but that hairpin, that sort of downhill, awkward braking hairpin where they then go onto that back straight. I think going down into that could potentially be an overtaking spot as well, because you've got the opportunity to use battery coming out of the corner before to get an advantage. So I think it's going to be very interesting, because drivers are not going to know, especially the defending driver, where to apply their battery usage to defend against the car behind them necessarily, because it's not going to be like the DRS years. And I'm quite looking forward to that. And as for kind of managing the battery, my take on that is that the drivers have just slowly been sort of required to manage more and more of the car. If you think, Formula One used to be 3 pedals, a steering wheel and a gear stick, and now look what they control. I think managing batteries, it's just a new thing, and I don't think it's a problematic thing. And as the regulations kind of mature and the teams kind of get used to this set of regs, I think it'll improve. I think we can't put too much stock into year 1, personally.
That's a very reasonable take. I didn't know we were doing reasonable takes in this showdown. I am, for one, extremely worried, because I think, I agree that managing cars, at least managing tires, is part of any racing sport.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm extremely worried about is, like, Formula One has always been like the pinnacle of motorsport, because these drivers are always on the edge. throw the cars around the corners on speeds which shouldn't actually be possible and are never near possible by any other motorsport, right? That's Formula One.
Yep.
That's gone now because not only though like the battery won't last, so they have to manage that. That means like what we saw in Bahrain is that there were cars, Formula 2 cars going faster on some corners than Formula 1 cars because that's not the point where they use the batteries, but they're definitely not going all out. What I'm a little bit afraid of it, if we get, and maybe it's just, it's Formula 1 version 2, right? What we're looking at this year. But I'm a little bit afraid of the two things. One, how can we follow it as a spectator? Because I don't know how we can see how much battery someone has left or when they are deploying it. And if you look at other motorsports, you can actually see, like if you go watch Le Mans, you know that, James, as well. When we, and Graham, of course, actually does as well. When we look at Le Mans series endurance races, we see how much battery they have, how much they use, if they're using it. But you can also see it from a spectator view. You can see it on the cars, right, most of the time. So it's actually pretty easy to follow. We don't have that on Formula 1. So we don't really, he's overtaken. That's a silly move. I don't know if that's a silly move. Maybe he didn't have any battery left. I just have no clue. And as an armchair specialist, as we are, right? When we watch Formula 1, we could say, okay, this will take 3 laps and then he's in striking distance, will be gone on straight. We actually have no idea what's happening this year because it could be like, he's getting close. But he didn't use battery for 3 laps. Good luck. Bye-bye. That was it. No idea. I totally, like, there's too much to actually follow, which is sort of my concern. But I am also in your camp, James, that it's just season 1. We'll get weird stuff. We'll get things that have to change, things that will be better. So I am also giving it a fighting chance. But it is silly if we go into Monza and halfway down this fastest lap, the Temple of Speed, the cars will slow down.
Yeah, I agree. That is probably the one circuit that I have any concerns about. Yeah,
Jeddah's one of them.
Monza's going to be the worst because it's just got so many long, flat.
Australia might be worse. Might be like they removed the chicane right in the end. So what we'll get is one big straight where I'm afraid we're halfway through we see lower top speeds than we saw last year, while the cornering speeds might be higher. So it feels a bit like too much too soon, maybe for my take. But I am also saying I'm not against change, so let's see what happens. But it could be really weird as well.
Yeah,
we might see cars going behind some cars, going past them where we normally had the DRS. We don't have the DRS anymore. We go past the car and then suddenly we run out of power and that car just has to back down again while it's actually the faster car. But we'll see. We have plenty to discuss to fill the show weekly, I think, on that one.
Yeah, that all just comes down to the battery management side of it, though. And I suppose
battery power, because not all batteries or every team has that.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, we've seen testing, but we don't know how much sandbagging's happened in testing. I mean, those times we've seen some pretty decent lap times, but no idea about fuel loads, no idea about how hard they're pushing. I mean, well, actually, to be fair, one of Leclerc's push laps was 100% a push lap, the way he kind of lost it and, went off track. He was definitely pushing hard. But we don't know, how much fuel they've got on board, any of the teams, or what program they're running, things like that. So, Australia is going to be the ultimate test. It doesn't matter how much testing they do, as far as we're concerned as spectators. We don't know exactly what they're doing, and we don't know how they all really compare with each other fully yet.
Yes. Graham, third point you mentioned was the starting procedure and the turbo lag aspect of that.
Yeah, so most of the teams, bar Ferrari and Haas, are running bigger turbos. As we noticed in the practice starts, Ferrari and Haas with their smaller turbos really got off the line super quick. Such an advantage for them. So they're deploying a blue light for 5 seconds. So it just allows the other teams that are obviously operating with the bigger turbos a chance to get the spools going, to get the turbos up to their full revs that needed. And then they'll start the normal race procedure, which could be absolutely hilarious and could be absolute calamity. Because if they don't get that right, they could be sitting there like a lame duck. And you could have somebody like maybe a Lando or a Oscar or George Russell or Kimi who could be on the front row, and by the first corner they could be at the end of the pack. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, due to safety reasons, they're deploying a blue light system until they get this sort of, as James called it, a more matured take on it all. So it will be interesting.
James, good thing, or is it just every other team should have done the business better, and it should be just out of luck?
There's an element of that, I suppose. Right. I mean, I'm not technical enough to know what are the advantages of a bigger turbo versus a smaller turbo, other than what we've seen in testing.
Bigger sounds better, though.
Sorry, bigger sounds better.
It's
not always about the size, John.
The bigger will give them more power. Obviously, it'll suck more air in. They'll push the air through the engine, obviously, a lot quicker, the higher density of air coming through. So longer term, if you're going down a straight, the bigger turbo would have the bigger advantage. But then when you come down to the start, as the Ferrari has, like I said, the smaller turbo, it requires less work. So there's less lag, less stuttering and stuff like that. So it's whatever trade-off you're really looking for. So with Ferrari, they're going to get that instant power, less lag, as we've seen, where the other guys might get the advantage on a longer straight.
And I understand that this is for safety, and this is where I get a little bit frustrated by Formula One, because, and this isn't because it's Ferrari. This is because they've allowed the rules to be interpreted and used in such a way that teams can deviate in whichever direction they want, and they have to weigh up the pluses and minuses in their design. So if they're going with the bigger turbo, they're going to be slow off the start, but they're going to have more power down the straight, all the rest of it. Great. They've come into pre-season testing. They've realised that actually there's a team down the garage, down the pit lane, that's got a smaller turbo. They're lightning fast off the starts. That was their decision. They chose to go with the smaller turbo, and they're effectively being punished because really they're, in a way, they're the unsafe ones, because they're going to be so fast off the line, and they're potentially going to be slamming into the back of, a car in front that's got a big turbo and is a slower, slower off the start. And that's the side of it that I don't like, because you've allowed the teams to make decisions and kind of interpret the rules their own way, weigh up the pros and cons, bring variation onto the grid as well. So it's not standardized. It's not, one size fits all, even if it's the different teams manufacturing them. It's not just about the size of the turbo. It's not just about the manufacture of the turbo. It's the size and everything about them now. And we're effectively letting the teams off the hook that have potentially made a bad design choice. Really, that's the way it is. And
it sounds like the advantage for Haas and Ferrari is already gone on that one.
Well, to an extent. I mean, we saw some practice start still with some long lights to allow the teams with the bigger turbos to get their engines up to speed and their turbos spinning away. Those Ferrari engines are still lightning off the line. They are still going to be jumping cars off the line. But maybe not as well as they could have done without this effectively fix for the other teams.
Could we get an hilarious moment, a couple of races where, for example, there's the four Mercedes engines are in front, Ferrari is 9th and 10th from qualifying, and then from the start, after the first lap, Ferrari is 1 and 2, because they're just so fast over the line compared to those other guys. Can we see, let me rephrase this. Can we see here a very different race winner than the actual pole position in Australia for change?
Yeah, I think we could. If Ferrari will get a good advantage, but I'm not going to say they're going to get to the start of the grid, the front of the grid, but Ferrari is looking very impressive. So if the four Mercedes powered engines are sitting front, they don't get the best start, they don't get the spillies up to the right revs, they then come down to the actual race start revs and everything, and Ferrari nail it from the start. We could really just see Ferrari clean house at the start, and then if they can manage the race pace and the battery from there, you never know, they could just go from 9th, 10th and coast the whole race. That it's one of the new unknowns about this new regulations is that we generally don't know what could happen here. That we're all speculating. Then it could be fundamentally wrong. We could be speculating, it could be right, and it could be somewhere in between. But there's nothing to say. But we definitely could not see that happen.
I was thinking about scenarios this morning. I was like, wait a minute. Let's say those Mercedes engines are as fast as everyone thinks, and I think the Mercedes factory team, as he advances, gets pole position. The Ferraris jump everyone at the start, but it's the Red Bull that has the best battery management and wins the race because of they can just manage the battery longer. There's really no way of knowing what's going on during a race, who's looking good for a long while, unless there's a crash.
That's what's exciting about this season for me. There's so many variables now.
There's one variable which I don't like, James.
What's that?
The driver won't matter too much this year.
Driver won't matter too much.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
No, I don't think that's the case. I think the driver is still very, very important. Personally, the cars are livelier, definitely. So I think
there's no drive. You're driving. Let me try to emphasize what I mean there. Sorry.
Okay.
Normally, when a car is on 100% and you're driving on full limits, that's where the driver makes a difference. Hence, we saw Max, for example, go out full in the rain. Max always takes the best out of the car because he's always on a limit, right?
Yep. And
just an edge knives away from pinning it in a wall, for example. And that's what's not happening this year because we're always managing either the motor, the starts, the battery, and we're always managing the tires. So I don't expect during races the drivers will be on 100% on those limits at all / too much. And that's where I think that the driver makes massive difference. We're watching the 20, and I'm trying to also be a little bit devil's advocate today, of course.
Yeah,
we are 22 drivers who should be the best drivers in the world, but they have to go in on at least 80% capacity because they're managing so much. And maybe managing is also capacity, but it's not. It's different than what they had to do before.
But when was the last time Formula One was about just going 100% flat out all race?
You're always managing tires. I mean, that's always.
The refueling era, probably. But other than that, like management is a fundamental part of Formula One. That's
tire management. That's part,
the tire management.
Yes, but tire management doesn't have to do that much with the teams itself. I think driver has an effective aspect of managing tires.
Oh yeah, but there's still going to be
But they don't have any influence on managing their battery or.
No, but they would still get instructions from the team about your brakes are overheating or this is overheating. Get clean air, look for wet patches to cool your tires down. All the rest of it, it's a team sport. At the end of the day, it's not a driver sport. It's a team sport. So for me, I think management is just part of Formula One, and it is part of what's required from the drivers, and it is part of what makes the drivers so good. They know how to coax a car around a circuit as fast as they can, whilst also bringing out longevity of the tires and the car itself, and trying to keep it as clean as possible. And even then, how often do we see them drifting out wide and crossing the white line and getting called out for?
Not much this year, I'm afraid. That's why
track limits. Well, maybe not, but there's it's still brain power. So where you're not focusing 100% on hitting every apex perfectly and hitting your braking point perfectly and going as fast as you can, like in a qualifying lap, where that brain power is kind of reduced for your overall speed, they're using it to manage other elements of the car. Like the brake bias and everything, how much they touch the steering wheel and the buttons on the steering wheel on any lap is insane. So I don't think, I still think they're the best drivers in the world. I still think it's the best series in the world as far as four-wheeled motorsport goes. And I think management is just a fundamental part of Formula One now, and it has been for a long time. So I'm not. Personally, not worried about that.
No, I'm happy you say that though, because it makes me feel more enthusiastic than I was originally. Okay, I'm just going to be honest.
I'm just the hype man. I'm here to be the hype man.
That's good. That's good. I even have some. No, I won't go there. But it's. I'm maybe getting old. I don't dislike change either. Right. I'm just worried that it will be. When Formula E started, I'm talking about old man. But that first year was crap. Cars falling off half year through. They stopped in the pit lane. Have to change cars. Remember that? I had to change cars because the batteries didn't last, and else none of the cars would finish a race. I'm a little bit concerned. Okay, now it's actually, I think Formula E is actually a pretty cool series these days. So they got it right now, right? I'm afraid something like that happens, and it just looks silly because we're looking at the pinnacle of motorsports, and it's not like an experimentation zone or everything. And that's what I'm a little bit worried about because. I think that's it. That's why I'm a little bit worried. We've seen Aston Martin. Let's talk about something, but we've seen Aston Martin. The story's going on. They will do the first lap and then just box because there's no way of competing if they actually make it through the qualifier. We're talking about Aston Martin and Honda here. These aren't like small brands that just messed up by the looks of it. And, it's just, it feels a bit off. But I'm walking in front of the parade here, and we haven't even raced yet, so I could be horribly wrong, and I'll be the first to apologize. And if we are next Monday, we're on recording this show, I would be like, guys, I'm so sorry. This is the best Formula One I've ever seen. You guys, I'm so, and I will publicly apologize for my.
All I'll say is think about 2014. Like that was a big change in regulations for the engines. A lot of teams faltered. And we ended up eventually with great racing, great seasons. And you mentioned Aston Martin and Honda. That really isn't that different to McLaren and Honda at the start. When Honda entered with these new regulations, well, not the current regulations, but the previous engine regulations. So. There's always going to be a team that gets it wrong and suffers for it. That's part of the sport. They've got to fix it. And it should be easier for them to catch up this year than it was for like the previous engine regs. I know there was a lot of discussion in the last 2 years about effectively allowing teams that might be suffering, as Aston Martin seem to be able to catch up basically more quickly than they have done in the past, where it was like if you're locked in for the year and you're crap for the year. Well, I don't think it's quite going to be like that now. So yeah, I'm still excited. It's just one team at the end of the day. It's disappointing because it's Aston Martin, it's Adrian Newey, it's Honda. Honda has this, across all motorsport, they're legends, but even they get it wrong. They got it drastically wrong in MotoGP over the last few years. It's just the way it is. That's motorsport.
But they're all the bikes do better than the newer bikes, which really is insane still as well. Yeah. Graham, looking forward to these changes, or are you? Where you are on my screen, you are in the middle. Are you also in the middle of this, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I get both sides of the arguments you have made. That it is a bit embarrassing from the pinnacle of sport if Aston Martin if they can get through qualify, they do the formation lap and then box after one lap. It is a bit embarrassment to the sport, embarrassment to themselves. But like James said, sometimes when you're pushing technology to the limits and the innovation and everything else, that we've seen Newey's designs testing, some of them are being very out of the box compared to every other team. So you're going to make mistakes. Like at Williams, they struggled. They weren't even there for Barcelona because they made some mistakes in timing and innovation and everything else. So, but
it does look great.
It doesn't look great, but then we could get to Australia and it could be the best racing we've seen in years. Like, could be an absolute stinker. I think the best way to really look at it is just hope for the best and see what we get here.
Hope for rain for the first race.
Why not? Like, anything to make it. We're here for the spectacle. If our teams win, then that's even better. But for spectacle, like, who knows what we're going to get? This what makes it exciting. So, I'm sort of in the middle. I get both sides of the argument. I really do. So, just gotta hope.
No, we gotta hope. That's the title first show of the first show this year. We gotta hope. Yeah. Grim, I know you've prepared a lot of all these new rule changes, but I think we're just gonna cut it up and see if we can go into more depth on the next show.
That's fine.
On these changes. I think the first three are very clear. So we took on a fourth one, which is no DRS. So no more DRS, but an overtake button. We have more battery, more dependent on battery. We have a blue light when we start, so it takes a little bit because we're bigger and smaller turbos. We also brought in a new rule about deliveries, which I'm going to ask you guys soon about. And I totally forgot the first one. Oh, smaller cars, which is definitely a good thing. So that's cool. Thank you so much for preparing that. And we'll definitely be back with more info on these new rule changes after this week.
There's plenty of stuff we haven't touched as well. Yeah.
But I'm more like when we are now heading into the last 10 minutes of the show, I just want to say last year we kept our predictions and that took up a whole part of the show. What we now will do, we'll ask you like one question which you predict this weekend, and the rest we have just joined it's called Fantasy Team, I think, Formula One. We each enter a league and we'll post the results from that every single week. So we have sort of a feeling. I think biggest advantage is it's online and everyone can see it. Second advantage is we don't have to keep scores myself. So whenever I'm in the lead, you guys say I cheated. That's gone now.
Are we sharing the league? Are we going to post that on Discord and social media so people can join it as well? Yeah, perfect.
Sure, definitely will. So first question, and short fire questions. I should have something prepared on the button, which is this best livery, Graham.
Williams.
Which one?
Williams. Yeah, I like the contrast of blues and the white. It's not everybody's favourite, but for me, I quite like it.
That's a cool one, though. James.
For me, Mercedes. It's a classic, but I think it's a really nice take on their colour scheme this year. I really, really like it. The first time that car was revealed, it looks fast to me. It's just a stunning looking car. Really like it.
Awesome. For me, the Red Bull, because, hey, it's different. It's shiny. And I quite like it. Although our new American friends had a pretty bold design. But, Graham, did I hear a story that design might not make it to the first race?
I can't say I've heard that. What have you been hearing?
Because the Cadillac has like the two different sides of it. Left and right side are different colors. People feel like the left side or the right side is actually not very much visible on camera. Looks like it's missing a front wing. And they're now looking into if these colors have to change and make sure they all have the same, like it's mirrored again. So,
yeah.
Because it did look weird on training.
I'm surprised they could do that because I thought, there's been a lot of rule changes since when I'm thinking of, but like the BAR Honda, they did that like half and half split on their livery back in 2006, 2007, something like that. And then I thought that they did away with that because the sport in general wasn't enjoying it on the TV because it was potentially So I was surprised to see that Cadillac were doing that because I didn't think they were allowed, but it must be that it's not in the rules anymore. So
maybe changing it back now.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do bring. Yeah.
Worst livery, Graham.
Aston Martin, I think. I don't.
Talk about unpopular opinions.
Just doesn't stand out for me. There's a few that could easily be up there, but I think Aston's for me is just. It's not very. I could say McLaren as well. That it's just there's not much change. It just doesn't appeal to me.
James, worst livery for you?
What's the junior Red Bull team called this year? They change name every year.
Racing Bulls.
Visa Cash App VCAR, whatever.
Racing Bulls.
Racing Bulls. Oh, they're sticking with the same name for a year. Okay, great. For me, it's them. Last year they looked great. This year they've ruined delivery to me. I think for me they're only worse, or they're only bottom of my list because of how good they looked last year.
That's fair. Although that Audi is really ugly.
What?
Yeah.
Talk about a hot take.
Oh, actually, I might change my answer. Audi. Actually, I don't think that's probably.
Am I the only one who thinks the Audi looks absolutely stunning?
Yes.
Like grey and orange, or like reddish orange.
You're the only one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
That's
like
a
it
classic
at all.
colour scheme. Oh, okay.
No, the way it's done. The colors are great, man.
Yeah, it's the layout of it. Yeah, the colours. But it's the way it's patterned that I don't like it.
The way it's done is just horrific. But yeah.
I like it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I'm just the optimist here, aren't I?
Good. You get a great taste, mate. Just not in cars. Race winner, Sunday. Australian Grand Prix. Graham.
Lewis Hamilton.
James.
I want to say Lewis as well because
You can do that. That's fine.
that would be the dream. But I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. I think George Russell.
I'm going to go with James. George Russell for sure.
Yeah, I think the Mercedes over a race pace. I mean, we've just
The whole
talked about
team
you can't
is
read,
just,
you can't read too much into testing, but yeah, they're
Super solid.
Yeah,
All the Mercedes engines looks good. And then they got a works team. I think that's all.
yeah. The car just fundamentally looks like a solid package. So does the McLaren. to be
I
fair,
am
both
afraid
of
I will have to agree.
Yeah.
Biggest surprise, Graham, for Sunday.
Biggest surprise
Give me anything.
if Colapinto doesn't bin it. I think.
Oh, there goes our Argentina listeners base again.
Like James mentioned, the testing, like he almost binned it with the rear tires actually getting lit up. So,
Well, so did Hajjar, so I wouldn't go.
yeah, I really reckon like he's again the stick-on favourite for the most damaged, most crashes. So if he can keep it on the track,
Checo is back. I'm just saying, guys. Checo is back.
Yeah, you could push for that.
You sound out there for a sec.
Rustiness might be a part for him, but no, if Colapinto doesn't bin it, damage the car, I'd be massively shocked.
James, biggest surprise for you this weekend?
Lindblad top 5.
Nice. That is one bold prediction there, mate.
He looks great. I am quite hyped for him. I think he looks like a solid driver. He's like as a rookie, fundamentals all there. Looks
Top 5, though. Gee.
top 5. Yeah, I'm going for it.
Awesome.
New regs, new rules. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Oh, that's great. I'm going to say biggest surprise for me, it would be the Red Bull powertrain engine. Looked really good, actually, in all the qualifying. His long runs looked really good as well. And I don't see them going to win those races this year. I'm not going to be world champion. But I just want to put it out there. How impressive is it that a like an energy drink factory, starts building its own engine? Of course, with the assistance of Ford. But it's not a Ford engine. They do everything in-house. And it might actually be reliable.
That is impressive, to be fair. If that engine is fast and reliable out of the box, like they've come into this season,
Many laps in testing. Long runs look good.
they're going to outdo Honda this year in their first season
exactly.
as an engine manufacturer in any format. Like, think about that.
There is no
insane.
difference between Red Bull coming in as an engine supplier and Audi coming in fresh as an engine supplier.
I think there is a difference.
Audi has more experience.
Exactly. Audi, they've got all of the Le Mans experience. Yeah, okay, they're different engines and it's different, but they are a car manufacturer.
Yeah.
They make cars, they make engines in-house. They are familiar with, like battery and management that way, hybrid engines. Like they've got experience, they've got engineers, and they've dominated every sport that they've ever been in at some point in that sport's history. Like Audi are a powerhouse when it comes to engines and motorsport. If Red Bull do what it looks like they're going to do, hats off to them. Even I like them more now that they're not headed by a particular person. But hats off, fair play. I would be massively impressed, and yeah,
that would be my biggest surprise. The signs look good, but I expected nothing from this season from Red Bull. Going to be completely honest there. I said that car won't run anything this year.
Yeah.
But that's a waste of Max. But
they've grabbed engineers from other manufacturers.
Sure, but they all do that.
But I'm not going to use that against them because every manufacturer has that happen. Like team personnel move around all the time. Like that's not uncommon. So for them to have grabbed some Mercedes people and some Honda people, that's not normal.
You moved from Mercedes to Ferrari red and now wearing orange, so it happens in fan bases as well.
Look, deep down inside, we're all Ferrari fans. It's just now that Lewis is there, I can let it out.
And on that note, I think it's about time we end this show. Thank you so much, guys, for episode 1 and F1 26 season. I am looking very much forward to the Australian Grand Prix. I think we all are. I think there's 2 of us that will be watching it live and be chatting. One of us will still be out and partying and won't watch the race live, James.
Well, to be fair, I could just waltz into the hotel and then just start watching it, depending on what time we finish.
You could, but I know how you drink. You probably won't.
No, probably not.
But we'll be back next week. So check it out every Tuesday morning. 8 a.m. is what we're going for on all podcast services around the world. Thanks so much. See you next week. It's been a pleasure, guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.